The following is produced by 5 Star Productions USA, which is solely responsible for its editorial content and is sponsored in part by a grant from Paul Mitchell Salon Hair Care.
Remember that old clunky you got rid of years ago? Well, it's probably being recycled. Right now, about 75% of the average 3,000-pound sedan makes it back to the factories for reprocessing. But that still leaves about 750 pounds of waste. Consider that Americans retire around 11 million cars a year, and it's clear that yesterday's dream machines are today's solid waste nightmare. Hi, I'm Ed Begley Jr., and this is Today's Environment, where we examine what's going on right now to make this world a better place to live. For a long time, the wind in a sail was considered an advanced method of propulsion. Then along came the combustion engine. Sure, it got us around a lot better, but the cost of that ride may be our clean air. It's time again for another innovation. Our next story takes a look at one.
Drivers, start your engines. This may be the most important car race on Earth. It's the Electric Vehicle Grand Prix, where the checkered flag doesn't just fall for speed alone. In this competition, everyone's a winner because this race inspires young minds to accelerate their knowledge and acceptance of zero-emission electric vehicle technology. High school students, the very people most likely to use electric vehicles, competed in this event hosted by Virginia Power. The winning team scored highest over several categories, including vehicle handling and acceleration, range, engine efficiency, and an oral presentation explaining the electrical design concepts powering their entry. Involving students at a young age makes sense because many future breakthroughs in electrical engine technology will very likely come from inventors and engineers attending high school right now. Beyond inspiring young minds, the utility actively promotes electric vehicles as an alternative to emission-spewing combustion engines. By introducing zero-emission buses as an initial project, the public utility wants to make some big diesel polluters disappear. With a $200,000 grant and a donation of cutting-edge inductive charging equipment to the city of Richmond, a fleet of 10 to 12 electric buses will start regular service very soon. Hughes Power Control Systems has invited Virginia Power to become a regional licensee for their MagnaCharge inductive charging system. And they plan to use this plugless, all-weather method of recharging for the electric vehicles. Originally developed for use under the sea, inductive charging eliminates the electrical shock risks associated with conductive charging because no energy gets transferred until after a plastic-covered paddle makes a connection. Many believe that this method may become the industry standard recharging system for future electric vehicles. Zero-emission cars and buses using power generated by clean-burning electric plants comprise a future alternative that may help solve the air pollution problems facing us today. And inspiring young minds accelerates our chances for new and better innovations in every category of environmental pressure. It's a sure bet. When more people compete in the race to save the Earth, we all come out winners.
Here's a good reason for dancing in the moonlight. To run a 100-watt light bulb for 1 year, you must burn 400 pounds of coal. Hey, if you don't need that light, turn it off. And get involved with today's environment today.
They say a diamond is forever. I wish that were true of all products. One way to reduce waste is to extend product life. This next story shows us the less we throw out today, the more we'll have for tomorrow.
Liquid waste. Is this growing problem rapidly washing hopes for a cleaner environment down the drain? Industrial lubricants, chemicals, motor oils, refrigerants, and other environmentally hazardous fluids foul the air, contaminate the soil, and poison the groundwater when disposed of improperly. And even the safe disposal of these liquids poses a vast array of economic, transportation, storage, and elimination problems. Some industries are taking a hard look at these problems and testing new strategies. One possible solution to the liquid waste nightmare could be better filtration. Many thousands of gallons of machine lubricants, motor oils, and industrial coolants get replaced and disposed of when all they really need is a good cleaning. This industrial filter designed by the Harvard Corporation can more than triple the life of some machine tool coolants. That immediately cuts the liquid waste by over 2/3 and translates to valuable savings on disposal and replacement fluids. Better motor oil filters could extend the life of the lubricant in an engine dramatically. One trucking company cited better filtration as the key to extending the time between oil changes from about 13,000 miles to 50,000 miles. And their testing determined this cleaner oil extended engine wear by 25%. Lubricants and coolants get contaminated and have to be replaced long before they wear out. Bacteria, shards of metal, moisture, and other foreign materials compromise the integrity of the solution and reduce the performance of the fluid. Harvard brand Constant Contamination Control Filtration extracts all debris, bacteria, and other substances that don't belong in the lubricant or coolant without having to remove the fluids from the machine. The reclaimed fluid exiting the filter, therefore, can perform as well or better than totally new replacement fluid. This dramatically cuts liquid waste, significantly reduces unscheduled maintenance, and extends the life of the machines they service. In refrigeration systems, efficient lubricant filtration can reduce CFC emissions that deplete the ozone layer. Just imagine how much less waste there would be if everything could last twice as long as it does. Improved filtration might significantly extend the life of chemicals, lubricants, coolants, and other fluids. Alone, it won't solve our liquid waste disposal crisis, but it could surely make the problem easier to handle. In a moment, on Today's Environment, new technology that's helping to save our beaches, and one power company's approach to emission control is revealed. Next.
Hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, fires, and other natural disasters remind us how modern technology is still no match for Mother Nature. But here's one attempt to channel her fury so that we're not completely at her mercy.
Sheer power. The ceaseless pounding of a roaring tide can sculpt entire continents from sheer rock. A sandy shoreline poses no match for the greedy chisel of an angry wave. The tide comes in, and the beach goes out.
One major storm can change the shape of a shoreline forever. Now, if allowed to continue unchecked, well, a day at the beach could become a thing of the past. But now science is on the cutting edge of a new technology to stem the surrender of sands from our beaches.
This artificial reef module, made by Breakwaters International, represents new hope to the state of New Jersey in turning the tide on their war to save their beaches. A specially designed concrete reef placed under the water about 300 feet out could deliver the wave-breaking function of a natural reef and preserve the irresistible seashore that draws millions of tourists and billions of dollars each year to these oceanfront communities. The unique shape of the structure, known as the Beach Saver Reef, actually harnesses the power of the wave to return the sand the undercurrent grabs from the shore.
This is the landward side, the side facing the beach, and this is the seaward side facing the ocean. A curtain of water is formed by the deflection of the undertow. It deflects the undertow up and vertically through these slotted openings at the top of the reef, which prohibits or greatly reduces the amount of material, sand material, that is allowed to move over the top of the reef.
The theory seems simple, but the execution can be tricky. Each Beach Saver Reef module weighs 21 tons. It stands 6 feet high, 10 feet long, and 16 feet wide. A 140-foot crane lowers the block to divers who connect the modules along the ocean floor. This reef will stretch about 1,000 feet long, 8 to 12 feet below the surface, and marks the third reef placed in New Jersey since 1993. Beach replenishment has required extensive dredging or hauling of sand in from other locations, but the constant onslaught of the tide and the seasonal bombardment of severe storms rendered these major efforts futile within just a few years. The goal set for these reefs aims for a 30% reduction in beach erosion. That could dramatically extend the life of the renourished beaches. Underwater, the concrete structure also becomes a home for barnacles, clams, mussels, and tube worms. As their population increases and thrives, larger sport fish should also move in to feast at this new feeding ground.
Many countries regard their sun-kissed beaches as precious national treasures, but the natural power of the sea could put those golden shores on an endangered list. This new technology may offer a solution to help prevent the world's beaches from disappearing with the sands of time.
Did you know that by recycling one aluminum can, you're saving about enough energy to run your television set for about 3 hours? One empty can could be your ticket to watch the Super Bowl. Get involved with today's environment today.
All it takes to get a car clean is a trusty brush and a little elbow grease. In our next feature, we'll discover that sometimes what it takes to keep the air clean is another kind of scrubber, a bit more powerful and high-tech than yours truly.
The Clean Air Act amendments of 1990 have not only had an impact on our atmosphere, they're also bringing about some changes in the American landscape. Ordered by the government to reduce the amount of harmful pollutants released into the air, utilities and industries across the country are taking steps to comply. Those affected by the law can respond in any number of ways, as long as the new air quality standards are satisfied. For example, the Southern Indiana Gas and Electric Company, or SIGECO, has come up with a rather novel approach that helps the environment and holds down costs. This is not a landlocked lighthouse. It's a structure called a flue gas desulfurization unit, or scrubber. When coal is burned to generate electricity, exhaust gases containing sulfur dioxide, a prime component of acid rain, escape into the air. This scrubber absorbs 95% of the sulfur dioxide before it leaves the chimney. While scrubbers are not exactly new in this country, the SIGECO project does contain a number of innovative features. For one thing, the design allows one scrubber to serve 2 generating units. That translates into a more efficient operation, using less equipment and fewer personnel. And here's another benefit. The scrubbing process here will actually result in a safe and saleable byproduct. When the sulfur dioxide in the flue gases combines with semi-liquid limestone and then oxygen is introduced, calcium sulfate, or gypsum, is produced. Now that the SIGECO scrubber is fully up and running, an estimated 150,000 to 200,000 tons of gypsum will be loaded onto barges and sold, instead of taking up precious landfill space, as many power generation byproducts do now. The demand for electricity will be with us at least for the foreseeable future. But there is also a growing demand that utilities take approaches that cost consumers the least and protect the environment the most. Designed to operate more efficiently and economically and to produce a marketable byproduct, this scrubber is anything but an ivory tower. A trend called daylighting provides natural illumination in your home, plus steel recycling. Just how good are we doing? Next on Today's Environment.
Doctors warn that too much time spent in direct sunlight can harm us, possibly leading to skin cancer. But that doesn't mean we have to deprive ourselves of the important benefits we get from the sun. Our next feature shows how we can increase our exposure to healthy natural light and help the environment out at the same time.
Let there be light. Some believe these were the first words of creation. And no one can argue that sunlight plays a major part in all life on this planet.
You know, sunlight affects the daily rhythms of body temperature and blood pressure. even psychological characteristics like mood and behavior. In fact, during the reduced daylight hours of the winter months, over 12 million Americans are afflicted with a form of anxiety and depression that's called seasonal affective disorder.
A trend called daylighting now challenges modern designers to make the human need for sunshine a high priority in their blueprints for homes, offices, and factories. Natural illumination also provides an energy-saving alternative to incandescent or fluorescent bulbs. Windows and skylights can welcome in the sunshine, but sometimes they get accused of compromising insulation and allowing summer and winter extremes to wreak havoc on energy bills. Inspired designers continue to search for a way to bring in the sunlight economically without the excessive transfer of hot and cold from the outside. This skylight, designed by Solitube, maximizes the flow of sunlight and minimizes the impact of the outside temperature. The compact size allows it to fit easily between rafters without any structural changes. A polished reflector in the UV-protected acrylic dome collects and focuses the sunlight down a highly reflective tube whose mirrored surface maximizes the volume and brightness as it travels into the home. At the end of the tube, in your ceiling, a diffuser then spreads the sun's rays evenly in all directions and can dramatically brighten the room with natural illumination. Designers at Solitube praise this concept because it can cut down on the amount of artificial light required during daylight hours. And it can often be installed easily by the homeowner or a qualified professional in less than 2 hours. Too frequently, the demands of modern living keep us shackled to tasks that must be performed indoors. The denial of daylight disrupts rhythms and patterns programmed into humans over millions of years. This innovation may allow us to accomplish our job and still receive part of our daily dose of sunshine, even when trapped inside.
An enhanced skylight design that maximizes the sun's rays and conserves energy might be one bright idea to help drive away the gloom of darkness. And of course, if we can all maximize our exposure to daylight, we'll probably all be in sunnier moods.
This looks like granite and feels like oak, but it's neither. It's a new building material made from old newspapers and soybeans. Every day, recycling technology sparks new inventions and spawns planet-friendly products. Recycling works, and here's another reason why.
You threw it out yesterday, and today it's back in the house, and your child is playing with it. At first, this may not sound like great news, but it is. Recycled steel. Yesterday's can might be tomorrow's automobile. In 1993, the recycling rate for steel cans jumped 17%. Now, almost 48%, or 16 billion of these containers, make it back to the mainstream as recycled products. The next goal for recycling cans is 66%, which is the rate at which all steel products are being recycled today.
You see, the cans you know as tin cans are really steel. They get their name because a thin coating of tin is applied to the steel while in coil form. In fact, 90% or more of all food cans are made from steel.
So, over 150 million Americans now have relatively easy access to a steel recycling program, and their increasing participation is good for the earth. Steel producers that reuse the metal from cans, like the Weirton Steel Corporation, praise the many environmental advantages from the process. Major landfill relief stands out as the obvious benefit, but our planet wins several other important bonuses that might not be so apparent. Substantial energy savings occur by using existing steel rather than creating more metal from ore. In a year's time, that translates into enough energy saved to power the entire city of Los Angeles for over 2 months. And reusing manufactured steel over again avoids having to make withdrawals from a bank of virgin raw materials like iron ore, coke, and coal. In the laboratory, engineers and researchers constantly strive to reduce the amount of steel needed to make cans. The new technology seeks to improve production techniques and performance characteristics. Their environmental awareness goes beyond recycling of discarded cans. Weirton Steel recycles nearly all of their packaging materials. They request their customers return all wooden pallets and wrapping supplies like fiberboard and metal strapping. They want nothing to go to a landfill and set that as their waste management goal. Once pariahed as major polluters, steel producers actively work to bury that stigma. Through recycling, energy conservation, and cleaner plant operating practices and controls, they strive to set new standards for environmental responsibility. Today's steel provides packaging for an endless array of disposable consumer products, and it can do it again tomorrow and the next day without ever reaching a landfill.
You know, the man of steel is a mere comic book legend, but when recycled, the can of steel becomes a real environmental superhero.
Do you hate traffic as much as I do? Well, you should. Americans burn over 3 billion gallons of gas every year while snarled in traffic jams. Carpools and van pools can cut down on traffic, save gas, reduce emissions, and who knows, you might even make a new friend. Today we showed you just a few things that might help our planet. There are many, many others. Join us next time as we explore more environmental solutions on Today's Environment.
To purchase a complete written transcript or a videotape copy of this or any edition of Today's Environment, write to this address or call 1-800-877-7769.
If you know of any interesting environmental success stories, call us at 407-997-9800. This has been a presentation of 5 Star Productions USA. The preceding program was sponsored in part by a grant from Paul Mitchell Salon Hair Care.